Welcome to the 23rd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we are going over the summer 2017 season's 5th week of shows. My name is Leo, and I'm going to start using the letters U and R to spell out your and you are because I can't be trusted to conjugate verbs correctly. Also with me is Bcom.
I'm so happy. Oh, I'm so happy I got you to say that.
Ah, jeez. I've already refused not to do this.
One of the best things about this podcast is that we can make each other say whatever we want in the intro from week to week.
You don't understand, so about an hour ago when I logged into this Google Doc, I almost went through this entire thing and changed all the yours and yours around just because I could.
Just to like make my brain explode. Yeah.
Why are all these red underlines?
Oh, man.
All right. Well, we'll start with Sundays. This is your lock, Bcom, so take it.
All right. Starting on Sundays, it is Centaur no Naomi, A Centaur's Life, episode 5, which is titled Antarcticans Are Like Walking Rumors, but in the end, the Antarcticans' history and roots are a mystery too. So basically, this starts with Quetzalcoatl, who we met at the end of last episode, who's the Antarctican snake girl princess. She sits next to Hime in class, and for some weird reason, she like turns to the right and opens her mouth really wide. We find out later, but this like startles the shit out of Hime, and just like she falls out of her seat and faints.
Yeah, she's looking into a gaping snake's mouth. It's like got the teeth. It's even got like the tongue and the little spots where like if she could spit poison would come out. It's pretty crazy. It is scary looking.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying. Her friends tell her that fainting at the sight of a snake girl could be viewed as discrimination. But Hime says the reason she's scared is because she watched a movie called The Fear of Antarctica. The color remake, not the original, when she was little. And this is totally a reference to the John Carpenter movie The Thing, which also had a remake and is set in Antarctica. In the movie, in her universe, a centaur woman is like taking a shower and is attacked by like an Antarctican snake monster.
And that part felt like Psycho to me.
Yeah, that was kind of like Psycho also. But like the centaur in the movie just gets like swallowed whole, and then the snake wears her skin around to like disguise itself. And then we even see like a movie poster, and they have like an anime version of Kurt Russell kind of on the left side. I was like, yes, that's so cool. So Quetzalcoatl apologizes to Hime, saying that all she was doing was trying to smile, but clearly didn't do a very good job, which I thought was like the understatement of the century, because it just looked like she was trying to eat Hime. So Hime's friends are like, you need to get over this, so they decide they should rewatch the movie in order to get her over that childhood fear, and Quetzalcoatl comes and joins them. Also, when Hime fainted, it was weird. Like, I guess the government guy who stands outside the classroom.
I was getting ready to say you skipped that part.
Yeah, she carried her to the nurse's office with the help of 2 of the guys in the class. But it was a weird thing. Like, they went into like this class where they're going to watch the movie, and the government guy was like, "Sorry, I'm not allowed to enter classrooms." And I was like, this is a weird setup. So I guess like the government guys just like walk around the hallways, but they can't actually go into the classrooms because of like some law probably prohibiting it. I don't know.
Unless there's like an emergency, I would guess, which she passed out in the classroom.
Yes.
So unless the other 2 guys got her into the hallway. But it was funny because when I was watching it, as soon as she was in the nurse's office, I'm like, she's a horse. She is super heavy. Now, and I'm not saying like to hurt her girly pride, but come on. I'm like, how'd she get there? And then the show like answered it for me, and I was like, oh, thank you for that loophole I was just going to burn this show with. And it's really funny because there's a little scene where like the 2 guys that helped are in the classroom, and they're like standing at the windows, just like looking out all like solemnly or something like that, and they're just like at peace with themselves. And one of them comments, they're like, yeah, we had to help her carry her. She was soft, wasn't she?
She was so soft.
And like people in the classroom were looking at him like, ugh. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty true.
So yeah, Hime and Quetzalcoatl, they both watch the movie together, and they have like the same cute but like scared reactions to like every scene, and they end up like hugging each other in terror. And Quetzal is what I'm going to nickname her for now, though I think later in the show they start calling her Sue-chan because her last name is Sasasul. So Sue explains to Hime that she's nothing like the monster in the movie. Her jaw isn't strong. Even if she bit someone, it would only feel like a bite from a kitten. And she
my first thought was, have you ever actually been bitten by like a feral kitten?
A feral kitten? No, but a cat's kitten. Yeah, 100 times.
They can really bite hard. It hurts. They're needles. It's just somebody jabbing your arm with needles. That would hurt immensely. So yeah, whatever. I'm get rid of that excuse right away.
She can't kill anybody by wrapping around them and constricting them like a snake. She's just not built to do that. And she also can't I think she doesn't have a rib cage that she can expand, so she can't bite and swallow things whole like a snake could either. So she's very different from a snake, but there are other ways that she's similar, because in the second half of the episode, a bunch of students ask Quetzal about a bunch of questions about herself, and one of the things she explains is that she's warm-blooded and not cold-blooded like a reptile, and so she's less like a snake in terms of genetics than a bird apparently.
She likens herself more to a bird than anything else.
Yeah, and then another girl asks if the Antarcticans truly rule the world from the shadows, because there's a lot of popular occult books that claim this, and she denies it, and also denies ever ruling the Aztecs or whatever, though the Antarcticans apparently did share some science and information with them, so they were involved with the society, but they didn't rule over them. They had rules against influencing their government or something like that. I don't know. And then she says that she came to school in Japan because the environment was similar to what she was used to at home community wise, but she also just wanted to go to a place where there were people of average intelligence. And then the student council president Tama or whatever is oh, so we're just average. I guess that's why you wanted to come here. Mm-hmm. And then one girl asks, quote, "So pedantic questions aside, do you have a boyfriend?" Which is a very pedantic question.
Let's get down to the brass tacks here, man.
Yeah, she doesn't. And she explains that only the queen of their tribe or whatever lays eggs. And most of the warriors are females as well. So she doesn't think she should have any romantic feelings. But she does apparently have feelings of favor towards certain people that might not exactly be the equivalent of romantic human feelings or human monster girl feelings, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, they leave school. At home that night, she's flipping through TV channels when she comes across a news report of America blaming an Antarctican UFO for sinking one of their research ships. And then she faints from the news because she thinks it's going to be really bad for her.
Oh, this is really weird because they keep referring to the Americans as humans.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think everybody is referred to as humans, but different. They're all humans, but they're different, different animal
classes.
folk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next day, the girls are walking around what looks like this world's version of Shibuya, Tokyo. Instead of the Hachiko the dog statue that's really famous there's a frog, so it's Hachiko the frog instead of a dog. And Sue-chan, as the girls have nicknamed her, is wearing a little pink bandana, just barely covering part of her head, which she says is to hide her appearance because of the bad news, and she thinks people will hate her. So Nozomi goes up to her and tells her lower your head for a second, and she just smacks her really hard in the head, saying she's not hiding anything at all with that stupid disguise. And when she smacks her, everybody in Shibuya Crossing is on guard, and they all of a sudden pop out with M16s and shotguns and assault rifles, and they're just ready just in case this snake monster goes berserk.
There was an old dude too. That was what killed me.
It's an old guy just pulls it out, and then when they see that she's not having a violent reaction, they all quietly slink back into the background. It's so good. It just tells you what this society is kind of like. So Hime notices that Sue is wearing clothes that are more like monk garments. So they ask are you required to wear that kind of clothing? And she's no, that's just what I usually wear. And they're well, then let's go clothes shopping. So Sue tries on a suit. And a sales rep says like the store will alter the opening in the seat of her pants to fit perfectly. And then, but like there's this tailor who's next to her. She's like, I've never altered anything for a snake girl before. But the sales rep is like, don't let anyone hear you. If they hear you, you'll get sent to a correctional facility for discrimination. And I was like, God damn, this society is fucked up. But that's basically the episode. It's just like them getting to know Sasasu and her weird idiosyncrasies and stuff. But you just keep learning like a little bit more about how messed up this alternate Japan is, with like people with shotguns and machine guns everywhere in like main squares, and just all the weird stuff with like the government guy in the school. I don't know. It's so strange. Any other thoughts?
No, I enjoy the show. It's really fun to watch. But
it is really fun to watch. Yeah, it's really cute.
But
all right,
we can go on to Princess Principal, also still on Sundays. Episode 5, Bullet and Blade's Ballad. Bet. So we start off with like Lord Horikawa arriving from Japan to the Kingdom of Albion. He's being greeted by the Princess Ange, Beatrice, and Dorothy. And the other 3 are disguised as maids. So that's kind of, I guess, maid fetish there.
Yeah, basically.
And they all end up boarding a train that's going to take them to London. The Lord is apparently there to renegotiate a treaty since it's not really in their favor at all, and get better, whatever you need. But then also the train starts to pass under a bridge, and we see Chisei, we already know from earlier episodes who she is, drops down on top of it. This is the Chisei introduction episode, is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I thought like last episode was all we were going to get, but they did like a full intro. Yeah.
Is there anybody else we haven't done intro for? I mean, their own
background
episode yet?
I hope Beatrice doesn't get one. Jesus Christ. She kind of did already. We found out like about her father, so that was basically her intro.
We got hers.
And kind of.
Well, the Ange and princesses are kind of blended together a little bit, I think. But what we're seeing is how everybody's been put into this little group they're in. So if we go by that, we've seen the princess, we've seen Beatrice, why she joined. Did we see Dorothy?
I'm trying to remember if we've seen Dorothy. She might be the only one that we would find out more about still. But,
we don't know how Ange got put into this group either.
Well, yeah, we sort of saw some stuff, though. I don't know. But yeah, I think Ange and like you said, like the princess and Ange are like completely linked together. So we'll probably find out more about them over the course of the show.
Yeah. So anyways, Chisei drops down on the train once they go under the bridge, and she's just chilling up there with like a little telescope and whatnot. And this whole time, the Lord, they're wary of some assassin that's trying to take him out. He's very famous. But once Chisei dropped on top of the train, Ange immediately noticed that there was somebody up there. So she goes up top to confront her. And at the same time, Beatrice comes up on the other side, and then they have their nice little battle. But it turns out she's actually on their side. Like the Lord's English friend guy, he comes up top. He's like, stop the battle. She's not the assassin. She ended up coming of her own accord, and she's there because she personally basically wants to kill this assassin herself. Mm-hmm. Ange is totally against Chisei accompanying them, but the princess tells her to be buddies anyways. That's what she straight up says. Be friends with her anyways. That
was funny when like Chisei looks up buddy in a dictionary. She's like, well, buddy, what is this?
Yeah. So, they're like doing a patrol. Chisei and Ange doing a patrol together, whatever. Chisei starts talking about herself a little bit. She's like, I'm from a samurai clan. 16-year-old. She also likes pickles. Pickle Rick. For anybody else watching Rick and Morty,
can we not with the Rick and Morty season 3 references when I'm still on season 1?
That reveals nothing.
I know it does.
If I told you why he turned himself into a pickle, would hurt.
Okay.
So it turns out Normandy Ko, he was a guy from the earlier episodes that like shot the other guy in the gut and whatever. He is actually helping this assassin named Toto Jubei because he wants the princess to get caught up in the assassination plot. It was not going to look good for her at all if the Lord does get assassinated. They eventually go to a train station and they stop, they're refueling and doing whatever they need to do. And we see like a man on the platform placing a walking stick leaning against the map. And also one of the soldiers on the train seems to have been watching for this. And we see him see this. The stick is placed like perfectly on this railroad map to like basically show a specific destination or position. And we also find out like Chisei's personal vendetta against the guys because he killed her father. That's what she says for now. We'll go into more of that later. But there's also this little thing that you like to take note of, like some like little kid falls down and scrapes his knee.
Yeah, they get up when the train is stopped at the station. Chisei is outside, and I think she's talking with Ange there, right? And she sees this little kid who's like, he's crying because he fell down and scraped his knee. So she goes over to him and like kneels down and like taps on his knee 3 times and says like a little like Japanese thing like magic, like fly away or something. Ow, fly away. Owie, owie, fly away. Some like cute thing you would say to the kid, and the kid gets up and he's like stops crying. He's like, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore, and he like runs away. I was kind of so she says she goes back to Anne. She's like, there's like a magic spell my dad or somebody taught me when I was little. I think but
which has nothing to do with now but something to do with later.
Did you think it was really a magical spell or just like a thing that you tell kids?
No, it's totally a thing. I've known people that actually tell kids that.
Yeah, because I don't think Chisei can actually use magic. Like, I don't think she actually used magic there.
No, that's not what she was doing the whole time. No, not at all.
Okay. So anyway, that'll come back later in the episode.
Yeah, so anyways, they pack up. They're on their way again. And we see that soldier from earlier that knows the guy on the platform placing the walking stick on the map leaves his car. And, like, he starts to kneel down and take something out of his boot. But Dorothy was also watching that janitor who put the stick over there, and she appears pointing a gun at his head. She basically kicks his butt, but then he blows himself up, which separates the cars because all the cars in the back of the train actually held all the soldiers. So those are separated. The other train is moving on ahead, and then also they're on double tracks. So the tracks besides them, another train comes charging up next to them. So right now, Ange and Chisei were in the back half of the train getting left behind. The other train begins to assault their train, and like it's shooting like hooks and grabbing onto it and holding them so that like if they try to slow down or speed up, it will derail them, which will basically kill everybody for the most part. But Ange uses her C-ball. They started abbreviating it, apparently. Or the subtitles were like, I'm over this.
Enough with this Cavorite bullshit.
Yeah, the C-ball to catch up. And Chisei's like holding on to her. They like jump and move really fast. But so on. There's a bunch of really pretty neat battles. They're really fun to watch. They're really cool. Lots of explosions, people dying, whatnot, so on. But Jubei, the assassin, has made it to the car with the princess and the lord. He like immediately just dispatches the other samurai. They may as well just been standing bamboo sticks to his samurai sword. That's all they were.
Yeah.
But Ange and Chisei have shown up, and Chisei starts doing battle with him while Ange and the princess go ahead to try and stop the trains from colliding because the tracks are now going to merge up ahead. Ange jumps the other train. She's yelling at the princess, pull this lever and I'll do this and this, and they barely get them stopped in time. Like they literally touch and almost push each other off. That's how close they get. And Chisei does end up killing Jubei. After the scene, she's standing at a grave, and we find out Jubei was Chisei's father turned traitor. And then this is where she does her little magic spell on her heart, and she's like, why doesn't it not work this time? It's just it's very touching.
Yeah, she actually said earlier in the episode, he killed my father, and my tears won't flow until I've avenged him. And then so she kills her own father, and then she cries as she's at the grave. She's trying to use that magic spell on her heart, and she's like, Father, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working this time? It's not working to mend her broken heart. So yeah, it's a very touching scene.
Yep. But so on, Chisei stays behind as a transfer student because whatever they call their employer, struck it as a part of the deal with the Lord guy. So that's the gist of that episode.
Yeah, I liked all the like the jumping around and jumping between trains with Ange and Chise. It was pretty fun. There were a lot of like bloomer and like underwear shots, like very quick ones, but like a lot of them, like lots of
I
like.
wouldn't even say quick. I mean, there's just like long, drawn out scenes where like you see Chise's bloomers, but they're bloomers. They're
bloomers, but still, it's just like, come on. It's like, I don't know. There was a lot of focus on that because they were all like, Ange and her were like constantly like flipping around, and they were like, and the slow motion part of the flips would be like up their skirts every single time. So it was like, okay, we get it. We get what you're doing here. But otherwise, like, I love a good train heist, and this one episode is better than the entire show Baccano. So fight me in real life, Baccano fans.
Oh my god.
Anyway, anything else on this episode?
No, that would be it.
All right, so moving on. So for Restaurant into Another World, I accidentally watched episode 6 this week because I'm a fucking idiot. So next week we'll do episode 5. Yeah, so we don't have a synopsis for episode 5. I know Leo watched it, but I didn't. So next week we'll do episodes 5 and 6 together. Oh well, my bad. I went to Crunchyroll and I just watched episode 6 for whatever reason because it was already out when I went to review the show. So that was dumb. So let's move on to Wednesdays.
All right, we have Sakura Quest. We are on episode 18, Minerva's Sake Saucer. Do you, at any point in this episode, do you remember Minerva's Sake Saucer ever coming up?
No. They drink like alcohol with the elderly people, but
but they specifically ordered a single malt whiskey. Yeah,
I don't know. That's
I have no idea what this title has anything to. There's nothing Minerva. There's not a saucer. They maybe drink sake at one point, but they're drinking a bunch of stuff. So who knows?
I'll Google it while you read.
All right. So anyways, last time on Sakura Quest, the elderly learned of the power of the internet and used that power to take Yoshino hostage and demand they reestablished a bus route out to their little old folks division. And all along, we were afraid of the AI uprising when we really should have been worried about our grandparents. That's my Dragon Ball Z. Last time on Dragon Ball Z. So it turns out Yoshino is a great hostage. She takes the role very seriously, and she plays right along with it, no fuss. Good for her. She makes them tea and even stays of her own accord. The best hostage in the world, right? And it's also really funny because the whole time they're streaming this entire counter, which is kind of their big thing, because they're getting a bunch of hits and lots of people are watching and being memorable, whatever.
They're the top streamers on Twitch.
Yeah. I think it was YouTube they were doing. Yeah, it wasn't video games. But they make a list of demands, and Maki shows up with their demands, which was beer, single malt scotch, and snacks. And at this point, I was like, I could become really good friends with these old people. I mean, those are some nice demands I can really get behind. But they end up asking like Maki to stay and drink with them, and she gets hammered, and it's hilarious.
She is so freaking cute when she's like a little bit tipsy. Like, she's really cute.
Oh yeah, when she goes up there like, oh, it was Detective Odin, which is just an ongoing joke at this point.
Yeah.
But before Riri goes to leave the next day to go visit the town, her grandmother gives her treats to take to the old people because the old man amuses her, basically, is what she says. Mm-hmm. The old people have also taken their defection like very seriously. They've erected like a new archway into their little town. It's all elaborate.
It's called the Republic of Warabia, and it's home of the Warabi Olympics, right, Leo?
Of a show you hated, you would make a reference, and I wouldn't. Yeah,
that's an Armed Girls Machiavellian reference for the 3 people who watched it.
Sane kind of has a one-on-one with the old man who's making all this fuss because he knows the village will eventually disappear, and he wants to basically make it memorable. And he's basically doing it now in like digital memories. And he knows the town's going to disappear and just wants to get it done. Taka Mizawa, the bus driver, he ends up having a conversation later with Yoshino where she finds out he was even affected by seeing this small town disappear over time. He has a pretty good speech about like, I saw a florist shop go one day. Next week, I saw a different shop go, and he's slowly seeing this town break down in front of his own eyes, and it's kind of affected him. But he gets up from her, and he gets on the bus to take Sane back, and they both come to like an agreement on doing something to help the old people. They didn't say right away. But then they go on, and the idea they came up with was the Mayonami Bus on Demand, which is basically a little van, and it's Uber.
Nailed it!
Basically, and yeah, you called it. It's Uber. It's basically Uber. But I just want to call something out. If he's the driver, when does he drive? Who's driving the bus? What is going on?
So I was confused at that too. So I went back and watched the episode, and it's not really clear. But basically, what they did is they just replaced the entire bus route with this on-demand bus, because he's basically like nobody ever rides the bus anyway in this town. Like it's almost always empty. So it presents some other problems now, because like basically the solution to this is that everybody's going to use this on-demand bus. But that means that like everybody in the town is going to have like a tablet or a phone or something
wait, they didn't say they were totally not doing the bus routes anymore though.
They did.
They did?
Yeah, it replaces the bus route completely, this bus.
Oh, yeah. So now everybody, you're right, has to have access to internet and being able to request a pickup.
I was actually thinking about this in depth, because like people who come visit the town also will need to be made aware of this. Like they'll need to be like boards at like former bus stops that say like, you need to use like this app to call the bus. But, like that's really kind of rough.
I'm getting ready to say you have a whole nother thing of problems at this point.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like a very small rural town. Like this model probably makes way more sense and saves a lot of money for the bus company too, for like fuel expenses and all this stuff. So
yeah, but they're a tourist town.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't know about this. Like, I mean, you could argue that like maybe the tourists don't usually want to go out like way into the countryside, so they'll be fine in like the middle of the town, like near the train station.
Yeah, but they want to get from one side of Mayonama to the other or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. They'll have to figure that out. Yeah, like there are definitely issues here. Like you might need more than one of these buses as well, but apparently this is the solution they've gone with. So
all right.
I don't think it's a perfect solution either, but it is better than just the former way.
But anyways, since now the old people have gotten their transportation back, the old man tells the girls they have passed this test. And then the show ends with the old man collapsing and passing away very suddenly.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's absurd. It was
really shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like there, he's like drinking his whiskey.
He's like, where was that ice again?
He's like, I think I have some ice cubes, and he gets up, and then you just hear like a thud, and you're like, what? And then it does give you the shot of him like collapsing in the doorway. And then they immediately cut to like Yoshino getting a call.
Yeah.
And then they cut.
Call. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they cut again to everybody at the funeral. And it's just like, what?
Mm-hmm. But I liked one of the people was like, I couldn't even understand your oh god, what is it called when you
when they gave whoever gave the speech.
Oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting this word. Yeah, when the person who speaks your eulogy. I couldn't even understand your eulogy. And he's like, well, the paper was really dark in there and I couldn't read the paper. It was like, oh man, these people.
Yeah. But also at the same time, there was a message left on the message boards that one of the treasures was in Sugita's storehouse. They do find out that the old man was Sugita. And he was probably the one who put that message up there, but they can't figure it out. And so they check his storeroom and they find the dragon staff, which we already knew was in there. So,
yep.
Oh, and anything else you want to add?
I just thought it was a really good episode. These are the kind of episodes I like Sakura Quest for, because it like really explores an idea that's like a problem in current like modern Japan, like rural Japan, and how to potentially solve it. And I don't know, like I thought it was really good, and I just liked this whole arc with like the old people like using the power of the internet, like you say, to like take Yoshino hostage. And Yoshino is funny. She's like, Yoshino is a hostage, just like how in Little Witch Academia, the main girl in Little Witch Academia was taken hostage, quote unquote, like by the like the union workers at the school.
Oh.
And she was like, Akko was like picketing with them, basically. So it was kind of like that with Yoshino.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was pretty funny. Yeah.
So, Thursdays.
Yep, Thursdays. We have Gamers, episode 4, Karen, Tendo, and Slump Days. I would just like to note we completely skip over what happens at the end of episode 3. This is like a filler episode almost. Kind of, yeah. No, it's like seriously, because in like at the end of episode 3, when they show what's going to happen in the next episode, they pick up from episode 3.
Yeah, they ignore like all of the freaking romantic like gibberish and like confusion at the end of episode 3 for sure. Yeah. So just as I said, it's Karen, Tendo, and Slump Days, and it's just for the most part her everyday life. She's a model student, so she begins her days early with a jog, and we also get to see the general outlay of her usual school day. But after she meets Amano, her days suddenly start to become derailed. She like first wakes up embarrassed about having lewd dreams about him. It wrecks her morning. She accidentally sleeps in because of it. She goes to leave and still has like her pajama pants on under her skirt. It's hilarious. The best part is that like in the first version of her days, like the music is all nice, and in the second version it's like distorted and like really bad. Because her life is just like a mess. Yeah, but it basically, what the point is, she's super love struck, and it's just wrecking her days because she cannot stop thinking about Amano. Like, this is obsessive. She needs to go seek hair therapy, man. It's bad. But like, even at the end of the day, when she makes it to the club, she can't even focus on the games. She's like absolutely terrible at them. And then later that night, she tries to go to sleep that night, and she can't because she gets too excited thinking about Amano. And like, out of this whole thing, what concerns her the most is it's affecting her gaming. It's making her a terrible gamer. Yes.
But over the weekend, she like runs into Amano on the street, who was kicked out of his house by his mom for gaming all day.
Relatable.
Yeah, I love it. She ends up making him accompany her since they are both awkward as fuck. It's really weird. They go to a game store, an arcade or whatever, and first they went to a game store and they're like looking at games, and he's like, I don't know if I want this or not because it's like a lewd game, and she's like excited he was going to buy it. It's wacko thing that happens. Mm-hmm. Then they end up in an arcade where Karen challenges Amano. They have to they each have 30 minutes to see who can collect the most coins. Karen just completely crushes him, but is not satisfied with her win because Amano didn't seem to take it seriously at all. He ends up borrowing a coin she dropped from her and bets it on a horse racing game for the max horse if he wins. His horse comes completely in last. And that's about it for the last of that episode.
Yeah, so like these horse racing and metal games are totally real in Japan too. Like in the arcades, you go up to like the 4th or 5th floor or whatever, and it's just like you just walk up there, it's like a wall of smoke as like these old guys are just sitting at like these horse racing games, like gambling with each other forever. It's so weird. And like the metal games too are just kind of like, like slot machines here, similar to that anyway. So it's like you see the same people just sitting and smoking at those machines for like hours. It's ridiculous.
I'm still jealous you got to experience that and I didn't.
Yeah. So part of this episode I didn't really get was like, at first anyway, was like Keita's talking about, he's like, or Amano, whatever, he keeps talking about how like, no, winning is really important to me, and she's like rightfully like really confused by this because the whole reason he didn't join her club is because like he didn't want to be forced to have like an attitude where winning is important, but he does like winning. So I was like trying to understand him just like she was. I was like right there with Karen as she was trying to understand him. So basically like he cares about winning because it's like a core tenet of beating games. Okay. But he just doesn't have the guts for high level competition.
Since we know my thing is comparisons. I will give you a comparison.
Okay.
Let's think about our good friend Nikita Dosvolsky, who drinks the vodka for breakfast. He loves to game. He will raid with us once, and that's the end of it. Because he doesn't like the competition. But he plays Xbox more than I do.
Yeah.
Like, he loves to game. He doesn't like the serious competitive stuff. He never plays Crucible and Destiny. He will sit in and play Strikes with you all evening.
Yeah, but I mean, Karen gets even more like confused because like when they play each other in a game, like he wants to beat her, and it's like, wait, what? This is like, it's just like it's very confusing for her because like I guess for her she wants to always be competing, and he wants to do it like maybe every once in a while, very casually, essentially. Is like so that's where he's coming from. Which I understand, but it was confusing.
I don't think it's confusing. I think you are supposed to try to sit there and try to figure it out on your own. And it just slowly gives you the answers if you're not actually figuring it out on yourself.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It makes sense to me.
All right.
So, anything else for gamers?
No, let's move on to the next one.
All right. Convenience store boyfriends, episode 5, August, my birth month. Yeah, Leos. Go figure. So, Mihashi wants to thank Honda for his help in the 3-legged race and asks him what he would like. He decides he wants to go on a date. She immediately refuses, but only agrees in the end if Mishima and Mashiki go also. Man, we're back with the Mi's and the Ma's.
These names are horrible.
Why did they have to name them all the same?
It's just a nightmare. But
so their date consists of ending up going to one of the school's track events, which is cool and whatnot. And there's this little scene where Bcom has decided that this is his favorite romantic quote hat scene that he's ever seen in all time. And Bcom, decide this for us.
It was so I was being sarcastic first of all.
Basically, you were, but
yeah, like her hat, like what's her name? Mihashi's hat like flies off of her head as they're like walking down the stands at this like where are they at, like horse racing? I don't even know where they were. I forget.
They were at the track event.
Oh, they were at the track event. Yeah, sorry, I don't remember. So like he's sitting in the stands and like Honda runs over and like picks up her hat and she comes and she holds out her hand to get the hat from him, but instead he puts it on her head. Ooh. It's like they linger on the shot for so long. It's just really funny. The funny thing is like
you see the shot of her hand out, and you see his hands on the hat, and there looks like it's going to the hands, but then it just passes the hands and puts it on her head, and she blushes.
But like also the hat is like way too low on her forehead too. It's just like she wouldn't be able to see anything with the hat the way it was. It was really bad. Anyway,
Honda just did a bad job putting it on her head, man. Come on.
Yeah, he's really happy about it though.
So anyways, they leave and whatnot, all 4 of them, and like Honda's like, all right, are you guys taking the bus or the train home? And Mihashi's like, oh, I'm taking the bus. And he asked Mashiki, well, she's gonna take the bus also. And he's like, all right, well, let's walk you guys to the bus. And then like Mihashi's like, no, I don't want to be walked to the bus, and like runs off. Which is, she's super shy. She doesn't understand her own feelings, basically. But the girls do end up back up at Mishiki's house, and they literally have a little tea party. And during this tea party, Mihashi like basically talks about her feelings, and she's like, why would anybody like that goober Honda? But
I just want to say I was extremely frustrated with her this entire episode because like whatever, just go on.
You should be, because that's real life.
No, this is beyond real life. She's has no idea what she wants whatsoever.
Exactly. It's so real. It's crazy.
Okay.
So like you feeling frustrated is exactly what they want their audience to feel. So they delivered, and yes, you fell under their spell like you were supposed to. So exactly.
Does that make it a good show?
It's No, but it makes it. You have to agree it's executed very well if that's what their goal was.
If they want, yes. If the goal was to make me frustrated and then have me continue to be frustrated even after the end of the episode, then yes, they succeeded.
You know, and I really wasn't frustrated with how our reactions were, but we'll get more into that later. Honda wakes up the next day to find like his mother home finally. And this is kind of answers our questions earlier why he's always sleeping over at Mishima's house. And it's apparently just because she works a lot. And then when she works, she has to go away. And even though she's home now, she's like, I'm going to be leaving shortly. Like, he doesn't even start to eat his breakfast. And she's already left again. And we also kind of find out he doesn't like his stepfather too much. We don't get any reasons. He just doesn't.
Might be part of why he's constantly sleeping over.
Probably.
At his friend's house.
Yeah. He does end up getting a group text about going to see like the fireworks this weekend and responds, but we don't see what he said just yet. Okay. Next scene of Mihashi in an old Japanese style home. And you got that too. I thought maybe kind of shrine, but it's definitely old Japanese style home, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. And it looks like her parents are fairly wealthy. It's a very big place, it looks like.
It was a big house, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, she's getting a call from Honda. And Honda is just asking her if she would like to go see the fireworks tomorrow. And during this conversation, Honda admits he's like, I just want to see you. And her only reply is, you know, I'm busy all weekend. I can't do this.
Yeah, this is where I started to get really frustrated. Because if I was a guy and a girl said, sorry, I'm busy like the entire break, there is literally no time I can see you. At that point, I'd be like, okay, she really doesn't want to. She's really not interested.
Yeah, I would have gotten that also. I would have been like, all right, she's not interested at all. It's time just to cut my losses now and either play video games all weekend myself or go, I don't know, talk to a different girl or something like that.
To be fair, I think that's kind of how he reacts until he talks to the next girl.
Yeah, but there's also like other odd things that happen earlier on, which would still kind of keep you on there. It was even up to this point where we finally got confirmation that her parents looks like they're putting a lot of pressure on her to like be good at school, be very productive or whatever, that she has outside pressures pressuring her. Like her decisions that she's making are not her own decisions. So right. I can forgive this whole scene for that because Honda, he seems pretty, he likes to be a goofball, but he's an intelligent guy. And I think he's picked up on it, but he's not too sure until, like we just said, the next day. But also, just before we go to the next day, she almost asks her father if she can do something tomorrow, but then like basically chickens out at the end.
Yeah.
And then also we see Honda finally reply to that group chat and he's like, yeah, I'll go. And he's going to go with everybody else to go see the fireworks or whatever. But Honda, after practice the next day, sees Mashiki at the convenience store. And he ends up buying her a popsicle so they can sit down and have a little chat. The talk boils down to Honda thinking Mihashi hates him. And Mashiki basically does her best to encourage him and uses the analogy of a shoujo manga.
I don't think it was even an analogy, though. I think she was saying, like, she reads a lot of shoujo manga, and in the manga she reads, the girl tells the boy that, like, she hates them.
I don't think she said she reads a lot, even though they had a scene where, like, she's looking at that manga.
That's what I thought that was about. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the show outright says it, but it makes you want to think it.
Yeah. She's like, she doesn't know how to get over herself, basically, and just ask you out. Yeah.
Which basically means she's like, I hate you. And the guy's supposed to be like, it's okay because I love you. And yeah, that's it.
But it's weird. It's just weird to me because the only things that Mihashi ever says to Honda are, you're bothering me and I don't like you. Like, that's the only thing she ever says. Like, it's really fucking annoying. I think that's not a romance. It's like, you're bothering me. I don't like
language
you.
Says totally the opposite, which is why it's really engaging for me. Because I'm watching
really
and
strange.
She's saying one thing, but she's reacting the total opposite way. So I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I just think this could lead to some like really rapey behavior. If like, no, your body is saying yes, even though your mouth is saying no.
Yes, you could go there, but you can you can easily not cross that line at the same time.
That's true.
So, yeah, so he talks to her, and after they're done with their conversation, he basically runs off to her house, and she's left her house and gone a street or two, and they run into each other. And they kind of go on to a walk, and they're starting to express their feelings when like a group of girls walks by, but then they notice Honda, and apparently they're old acquaintances and whatever, and they're like, "Oh, please come with us." And Honda's like, No, I can't go with you this evening and whatnot. And then Ishiki ends up like running off. And then Honda ditches those girls and immediately chases after her. And he flat out tells her he likes her and asks what she thinks. And then there's this very slow lead up to like them getting closer and closer. And then eventually the fireworks go off, and it's an extremely quick screenshot. And then it just pans up super quick. And it looks like I immediately thought Honda is kissing Mihashi. But because of the angle, it's the back of Mihashi. I mean, sorry, the back of Honda. So, I don't know if they were kissing. To assume this or not.
They definitely kissed, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to go back to like just before they kissed for a second, though. So, like, Honda says, like, "I like you," like, and she finally like turns around and looks at him, and then he asks her, quote, "How about you? Like, do you like me too?" is what he's asking. Mm-hmm. And she responds, quote, "I don't." And then he says, quote, "Me either." It was such a weird exchange because she's saying, like, "I don't like you."
What? No, wait, whoa. I don't remember that at all.
That's exactly what happens. He says, "I like you." She says, he says, "How about you, Mihashi?" And she says, "I don't."
I thought she turned to run and like he just grabbed her wrist real quick and she stopped.
Yeah, this happened after that. Yeah.
Was I typing?
Yeah, you missed. This was like the most confusing part of the episode because it was so weird. I think what this is supposed to mean when she says "I don't like you" still, and he says "me either," meaning I think he said saying "I don't like myself either." Like, it was such a weird thing. And then after that is when they kiss.
This is something that just doesn't translate well.
Yeah, it was either just really badly translated or it was more playing into the idea of like the shoujo manga girl saying the opposite of what she means to the guy she likes. I don't know. It was so weird and so unsatisfying.
I mean,
to me, though.
If they're going to play into that shoujo manga, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that if that's what they're doing, then it makes sense. But in reality, you don't kiss a girl who just says, "I don't like you. Sorry."
True.
Like, it's so weird. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, but that was the end of the episode.
Yeah, I thought there was some weird moments with like animation in this episode. Like it was specifically like just before the OP, like after the hat putting on scene, they're all like sitting in the stands, and like the camera looks at each of their faces for like a good 5 seconds, and like nothing moves. They like maybe blink. And like they don't like really do anything, and I was like, "What is the camera doing?" It felt like
they were like setting up the anticipation before the other guy ran, like a Sumi or something like that.
Yeah, it was so weird though. But like, I don't know, it just seemed out of place and kind of like lazy animation. But I liked Honda's honesty though. Like when he called her on the phone, he was like, "Do you want to go see the fireworks with me?" And she was like, "No, I don't want to." And he was like, "How about the next day? And how about the day after that?" And she's like, "Well, aren't they not showing fireworks that day?" And he's like, "It was just an excuse. I just want to see you." I thought that was like the most romantic part of this episode.
Yeah, I loved that part. He delivered that line. I was like, "Ooh," and I was like, did the little arm thing across your chest. You're like, "Oh yeah." It's like, you go, Honda.
Yeah, good for him for doing that. But man, I don't know if she's worth it, man.
Man, she's super cute to me. And I know she's having issues at home and stuff, and I feel like she feels she's so burdened with what her parents expect from her. There's no way she could have a romantic life. So like, it makes me root for Honda even harder.
Yeah.
I just want to be like, tear her out of that fucking mindset, you know?
Yeah.
Show her that you can have a boyfriend, you can have a good time. You don't have to be so serious and feel like you're tied down and separate from the world like you are. So,
I also thought, I was going to say also, so like she has like no self-confidence still. Cause like when he's like saying that he likes her, like before he says it, she's saying like, how could you like someone like me? I'm not pretty. I'm not like cute like those other girls that we just like saw down the street kind of thing. But like, so like he needs to build up her self-confidence clearly. Cause like she has none, but I felt like the 3-legged race would have done a little bit of that already. Like, because like he showed her that if she actually tries, like she can really like do something.
I believe it did, but it's the start, and she just kind of had a little relapse since she had to go back home and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just don't know why she didn't think he was serious like after the whole 3-legged race thing, because like he was really serious and committed during that. Like, does she really think he's gonna tease her if he's just joking for like that long?
Well, like, she's always been led to believe. I feel like we're assuming from her whole life to think this one way. And he is so like just crushing that down around her that like it is going to take some time to break her from that mold. And and not to be cliche, but those two, I feel like they complete each other because of how the opposites they are. He is so carefree and she is so straight and forward. I think they would benefit from each other. She would help him be more focused and he would help her let loose a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I really think their relationship, once they got together and learned each other better, they would both benefit greatly.
I just hope her words start matching her actions now, because like if she actually does like him, please stop saying like
they should
me.
slowly start. It shouldn't be very abrupt, but they should. What would be the big breakaway? She'll say one line and will actually match her actions, and that's when you're like, oh shit, we're getting somewhere. Yeah. Or just smile a little bit more. Like have fun with like this guy that you like. Just hold on for a second. I'm like, she smiles like very rarely, but it's like, man, she looks like she's in like so much pain constantly. Like, God, I just feel so bad for her. Like, and there's like other earlier scenes in the episodes where she's like talking on the phone to her parents. She's like, no, I'll be home. I swear I'll be home. I won't be out much later, and like all kinds of stuff like that. And that happens again in this episode, but
that's true. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. You talked me off the ledge with this a little bit. Like I still like have major problems with like how this went down, but in the end, I'm excited to see like how it moves on now. Yeah.
Out of the few dramas I've seen, this one I really like. I think everything they do is convincing, and even if it's not, it's because it makes me think of real life dramas I've had in middle school and high school that still don't make sense to me today, of who said what and why what happened. I just don't think it can be completely predictable. But if you want to move on, we can talk about. I'm sorry, we can't. We can't talk about Rage of Bahamut because it's a 2-week hiatus.
No. Oh, that's too bad. Rage of Bahamut. We miss you so badly. My Discord nickname right now is Rita is delayed 2 weeks.
Before then was Rita's best girl.
Pretty much.
Yeah, which was strange. We didn't know what the thing was going on. And then I saw a weird article that says something about Olympics.
I don't understand why.
I don't understand what this is about. But then Convenience Store Boyfriends is off next week also. So something is going on. We just need to do a Google search or something, I guess.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So anyway, also on Fridays is Made in Abyss. Episode 5, Incinerator.
This is the show for the lollies out there.
Is it for the lollies or the lolicons? Lolicons. I don't think it's actually that kind of show. That's Angel's 3-piece.
That may take the title, but man, this episode. Whew. I'll talk about it.
Well, there was just like one scene. Okay, so Riko and Reg are descending into the second layer of the abyss, and immediately run into trouble. They like hear cries for help from somebody, and they only find that it's this creature called a corpsed weeper. And this creature is like a bird, and it mimics the cries of its prey in order to lure like rescuers to the slaughter as well. Like, so this bird is like eating the intestines of this dead guy, and it's mimicking his like cries for help, like before he died. It's pretty dark.
Help me!
Yeah.
Help me!
So Riko gets picked up by one of the corpse sweepers and flown away, and Reg tries to grab her with his extendable arms but gets blocked by like another corpse weeper. Basically like an entire flock shows up, and then Riko faints because she's ascending really quickly with this bird, and when you ascend in the abyss it makes you sick. So she's like fainted, so she can't help herself, and like the corpse sweeper is dropping her off in like a bird's nest filled of baby corpse sweeper chicks, and so it looks really bad for her. But so Reg has like no choice but to just go all Iron Man on them. So he fires his hand laser, and then like Riko he blows up everything. It's actually got like a really wide like area of attack, this big beam, when he's so far away.
Well, yeah, and also he kind of goes in a trance at the same time. Like he's not aware he can do this. Right. It's like kind of like unlocks in his mind or something. It's weird. Like an old memory, I think is how they kind of put it as. Yeah. Like he's like he's suddenly dredging up this really old memory of him being able to do this, and his body just kind of reacts on its own, and he's just there for the ride. Yeah. So the bird who was carrying Riko drops her, and Reg's able to catch her with his extendable arm, basically. So then Riko eventually wakes up, and she's half naked. And this is because Reg didn't know what was wrong with her, so he was taking her clothes off to try and see if she had any injuries since she wasn't waking up. Also, her clothes were covered with her own vomit from like being carried up into the abyss. So she tells him not to be embarrassed, and then decides they should name his hand cannon the Incinerator. And this whole time she has no shirt on, and only her pigtails are so her hair is covering her. Like she gets up and she holds her arms like out, and there's like this like little scene of like her shirtless, and like behind her is like all the fire and brimstone from this laser. It's a kind of cool shot. Like I honestly didn't think this was like that bad of fan service, because like, to be honest, like we didn't see anything. Also, her, like, I don't know, it's just like she wasn't really like exploited that much in this scene. Like, it's not like he stuck a ruler up her vagina and broke it off inside of her, like something she would have done. Like, it could be much worse. Yeah, but we never saw that in the first place. Yeah, thank God. I don't think it's really bad as a hilarious scene with him like on a table, and like, but the camera angle so you can't see his ass, but you just see this just like a silhouette go down and snap off. Oh God, ouch! That would have been really funny. I laughed my ass off, dude. That's something that for some reason that seems like something like Bakemonogatari would have done, like in like a silhouetted scene, just like snap, just like a really quick shot. Oh, you mean you don't brush your sister's teeth also? That's Nisei Monogatari, but no, I don't do that, unfortunately. It's one of the Monogataris. It doesn't fucking matter. So same series. Riko reassures him that he should be able to like train to control his beam fire, since like the first time he used it in episode 1, it was like a much smaller blast radius. So he should be able to get it under control, because he's worried about hitting Riko again, like if he ever uses it. So after all this commotion, Reg finally faints and powers down to recover. And apparently, like, Riko dropped her caving notebook, but that's fine because Reg remembers that she wrote something about how his penis looks like a real one, and he hopes that the fucking caving notebook stays hidden forever, basically, because there's like all this embarrassing shit about him in there. So Riko makes lunch with the meat of the corpse sweeper that Reg killed, and he wonders if it's all right that they're like eating an animal that they just witnessed eating a human. But Riko reassures him, like, this is all part of the cycle of life in the abyss. The cave raiders are made stronger because they consume the strength of the animals they defeat, who have defeated other cave raiders. So it's like a cycle of life, she believes. So they continue to descend. They run into this like huge cloud of bugs, and then using Reg's extendable arms, they form a bridge in front of this huge waterfall to cross. Riko finds like a ton of like squishy potato relics again. We still don't know what those things are. Eventually they come to like the inverted forest, which is the lowest area. Squishy potato coon they use in Tsukikagure. Yeah, that's what it is. It doesn't look as cute as that one. Yeah, this is the world after the end of Tsukikagure, where everything went to shit and something happened to the abyss, and those are just the old potato coons. If this was nearly as good a show as Tsukigakure, I'd be really happy. So Debatable.
Yeah, it's very debatable right now. It's not over yet. So eventually, so they come to this inverted forest where, of course, all the trees are inverted. Like, even the waterfalls are flowing upward instead of downwards. So it's kind of freaky. And it's also colder because, like, the trees are blocking the sunlight from being reflected from the surface. So Reg lends Riko his cape for her to keep warm. And then he puts his helmet back on, and briefly this purple symbol appears on, like, the glass circular window in his helmet. But it disappears after a few seconds. So that's kind of mysterious. But so while they're talking about this, they have to move because they're attacked by things called inbios, which are monkey-like creatures that throw rocks at them and chase them out of their territory. So they keep, like, swinging from tree to tree, and, like, Reg basically uses his extendable arms to, like, swing them like monkeys away and, like, escape barely. So they continue making their way, and they finally come across the Seeker Camp, which is this outpost that people built on this level as a gathering point for the raiders who want to go down to lower levels. And at the Seeker Camp, this young girl is looking at them through a telescope and asks if she should lower the gondola for these people, but she gets no response from her master, whoever that is. So Riko explains that it's less windy and less dangerous in the abyss when you get further away from the central shaft. So that's why it's, like, a little bit safer to have the Seeker Camp out on this, like, outer part of the abyss. And so, like, they get to the gondola, they see that it's not lowering, so Reg, like, launches his arms up there to try and get it to, like, make a ladder for them to climb at least. But he immediately feels his arms picked up by somebody who's above. And it turns out that, like, the person there is named Ozen the Immovable, or the Unimmovable Sovereign. And she's a white whistle who was the one who helped Liza, Riko's mother, bring her up to the surface. And she says, that brat's still alive, hey? Talking about Riko. So that's interesting. So we'll find out more about her next episode, I assume. But yeah, you thought that Rika wearing a shirt, like, not wearing a shirt scene was, like, pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, it was a very drawn out scene too.
It was pretty drawn out.
And it wasn't like there was just, like, one shot. There was just, like, this shot, that shot, next camera angle, this camera angle, them talking, now he's talking, now she's talking, change the camera angle again. It's just like, put the shirt on already. It was tearing me away from the conversation because I'm just like, no more.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I don't know. So I still think the background art and stuff in this anime is gorgeous. Like, when they were, like, walking across the bridge and that huge, like, in front of that huge waterfall, like, it was really cool. I don't know. Like, yeah, I just continue to, like, just marvel at the look of this show, if nothing else. So, yeah, interested to see as they keep descending what they find down there. And, like, I want to know what the deal is with this little girl who lives on, like, the second layer of the abyss, just looking through a telescope all day.
Oh, who is obviously, what's her name's apprentice?
Ozen or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, Ozen. Well, all right. Anyways, we can go on. We can go on to 18F. Episode 5, The Witch of Ordinariness. And she's called this because she wants to be ordinary. Bcom.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah. Bcom, have you ever thought about chopping off your own leg with a hatchet?
Maybe after I watched that James Franco movie where he gets trapped in, like, the canyon and has to chop off his own arm to escape.
I've never seen that, but I know,
like 127 hours or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's a fun movie. Take your kids to see it. So
anyways, we open with a young girl that is a figure skater, has locked herself in a room, getting ready to chop off her leg with a hatchet. That's the intro.
So I saw this ice skater with, like, a hatchet, and I was like, oh, this is the Tanya Harding anime story. Do you remember Tanya Harding, like, in Nancy Kerrigan, the figure skaters? Mm-hmm. This is an old reference, but, like, basically Tanya Harding had somebody, like, attack Nancy Kerrigan and, like, slash her leg or something. So I was like, oh, that's what this is about. But no, it was a slightly different story here.
No, I see where you're going with it. Yeah, it's figure skaters hurt legs. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But anyways, we go on. Haruto is having breakfast with Katsumi when he found out the girl's name is Mirei Seigusa. And she broke her own leg with a hatchet at the age 18. Not true. Haruto dreamed that's what she did. But she, as a young age, she was like, went to a skating rink with her grandfather. And it turns out she was kind of slightly unnatural, and she trained for a long time and got really, really, really good, like crazy good. Like she won like her first like championship at 14 and got to the point of becoming so famous. She was basically an idol in Japan. She was doing ads for like a chocolate company and stuff like that. And she was even finally put in the Olympics. That's how good she was. But she went to perform a triple jump and failed. And she ended up taking second place. And it was just such a huge burden on her. That's when she trapped herself in that room, locking out her management and everything, and had a hatchet, was getting ready to chop her leg. And she eventually came down with the Sleeping Beauty syndrome. Moving forward, Haruto eventually sets out on his way to help the new witch. He ends up at a college campus where he runs into her. No, she runs into him and drops her books, and he doesn't realize it's her. She's like dressed in regular clothing. She has glasses on. She's not all dressed up in like her figure skating outfit where she's, very sexualized, lots of makeup and all that fun stuff.
She kind of is dressed up like Mihashi from Convenience Store Boyfriends. Like long skirt, glasses, long hair.
Okay. But he doesn't realize it's her, and he's running around campus trying to figure out who she is. And nobody knows who the hell he's talking about. He eventually goes to like the offices or something, and on the PA system they announce for her to come up, and she finally comes up, and they're like, "Oh, it's you, whatever, holy crap." And they start walking, and he tells her, he's like, I know you're famous, all this stuff. And like, she tries to run away. She's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you in my world? This is my world." And what it boils down to is her big deal is she spent her entire life in the ice rink and missed out on everything growing up. You see flashbacks of like her looking out a window and seeing you seen like a girl and two guys at a convenience store laughing in the rain, and missing out on school events and just everything in general, because her whole entire life was practicing ice skating. She never did any clubs, nothing like that. It was just constantly like, at one point she said she practiced for 20 hours a day on the weekends. What the fuck? That's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. But then we also get to see the scene of her performing that triple jump again in the Olympics. And when she lands, her skate breaks, which is why she never landed the jump perfectly. Yeah, which is interesting. And they show it again later if you didn't catch it now. It's super quick. But then we also find out she never actually got far enough to break her leg. She basically was sitting on the chair, has her other leg propped up in the chair, is raising the hatchet, and then she, bam, goes into a coma. So she never actually broke her leg. So back into her dream world, Haruto does his best to help her out by experiencing everything a normal person would. She goes to classes, she does the club, she does the karaoke, goes to fast food restaurants, gets to participate in the school festivals, and so on, so on, so on. She eventually goes on a date with a guy named Yuki.
Yuki on Ice?
Yeah. What?
Yuki on Ice.
You think this was intentional?
No, it was not. No, definitely was not.
So she ends up going on a date with him, and like she's like wants Haruto to go on a date with her, and he's like, "No, I'm not going on. I'm not being a third wheel." But he does end up tailing them the whole time, like by wearing sunglasses
in a movie theater.
Yeah, in a movie theater and all that fun stuff, which is nonsense. But in a crazy twist at the end, their date ends at an ice rink, which clearly shocks me, Ray. But she's kind of skating around a little bit, and she gets lost in the moment and like realizes she really loves ice skating and ends up performing a perfect triple jump. But then suddenly like the world shifts and it takes her back to the Olympics with everybody cheering. She freaks out and yells no, and it like shatters the dream entirely. And then like she has this like little breakdown scene with Haruto there. He's like encouraging her, and then the guy she was with transforms into Lily. Yeah. So Lily was Yuki, the senpai, the whole time. Yeah. And the whole lesson we learned was that her destiny is to be on the ice and fuck her own wishes.
Is that what we learned?
That's what I gathered from the end of that. Because he's like, hey, maybe being on the ice was your destiny. And I'm like, yeah, we kind of figured she loved being on the ice in the first place. But then we're also accepting that we know she clearly did not like all the coaching and all the training that came with the ice skating. So
she
like,
wanted to live her own life for once. She wanted to grow up and have like a childhood. But yeah.
Yeah, but then in the end, she really should have belonged on the ice. So
I guess.
Fuck her wishes. I don't know.
It's a weird message. I don't know. Yeah, the
weird ass message at the end. I didn't understand it really.
But there's even more weird things at the end because continue to the last part.
So since her spell has now been broken, Mirai wakes up in the real world and she's like 100 years old.
So this is where I got like really confused.
Well, I felt like from the beginning that Katsumi was not letting on that this was because he immediately went to find out who she was because she was previously an idol. It was very easy to find. He went to the hospital. We didn't get to see her then, but he saw her in the bed. He had that expression like, oh, and I did see that in your notes, but like I saw that it was like kind of portrayed that like this happened forever ago.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting because
I
never
like
rewatched it.
Like if I would have watched it and found out she's 100 years old and went back and rewatched it, you would understand why Katsumi reacted the way he did. Okay. The show didn't do a good way of portraying it because I didn't really pick up on it. You didn't pick up on it. And I only realized it because I knew to kind of keep an eye on it.
Yeah, my question is like, if she's like, let's say she's like 80 years old, then does their time period take place in like 2080? Because she's remembering back, or like 2060 or something. Because she's remembering back until she was like a teenager ice skating, and like, I don't know, it looked like fairly modern times when she was ice skating. Like, so when does this show take place?
I think that's like, where it wasn't portraying it right.
Yeah, that's what I was not confused about.
Yeah, but even when they go back to the real world where she wakes up, it's like a very modern hospital.
Yeah, so, that's true.
If anything, it made me question how long has Haruto been in these dream worlds and what's his freaking story? You know?
And it's the same with, because Katsumi is like outside the dream world too, right? So
correct. And we've seen him interact, and this is today's dream world. He's been to like a bar. He's been walking down the streets. He's now been to a hospital this episode.
And that's where this raises a problem, because it's like,
so if it's 2017, he be in a more modern 60 years, which would put her closely to 20, just roundabout. Where would that put us?
1960, 1957? So like her world would have had to be portrayed like a lot differently. I feel like the ice skating world would have had to look different.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just more or less a fault on their part.
Yeah, I think they could have given us a little bit more of a clue, and this would have been a much more interesting episode. Like, I don't know. That was okay. I mean, the ice skating existed back then, but like I don't know if they had big arenas to ice skate in like
big
that.
Big arenas, controlled environments with all the lights and stands. No. Yeah. And like she's clearly, when she's in a room, it's a completely standardized room. It's got like the fold out chair tables up against the walls, and they're trying to break in, and there's like camera flashes and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when she failed, there was the camera flashes. So yeah, it's like her dream. Well, I guess we could play off her dream world is taking place at the modern times.
Okay.
Even though it happened at a different time, but that's I'm really pushing shit.
Yeah,
here.
We're really like reaching, but yeah. So the show just like maybe is not sure of its own like time paradox there. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Or it could be some delusion on Haruto. Maybe, I don't know.
And yeah, anyway, I just thought it was interesting that Lily like intervened in this dream. It kind of seemed like she was jealous that like Haruto was like interested in this pretty girl.
Yeah, I got that also, because she was like stalking them and all stuff the whole time.
And then so yeah, she chose to get involved, like maybe to make this whole process go faster. Because as Yuki, she could like tell her exactly what he needed to tell her to like move her along and get her like to confront her actual like dreams and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting because I don't think in any previous episodes that Lily has like portrayed another character inside of the dream.
No,
but I guess she can.
And also, you just made me think of how accepting Haruto is of this whole situation.
Yeah, he definitely
like he's so totally jumped into this role of helping these witches and not giving two damns of why he's here or what his previous life was.
Yeah. I think Lily is like some sort of aspect of his imagination as well, or his subconscious. Like, I don't think unless she's also just a person who died and is trapped in this limbo like Haruto is, which could also be the other option.
Right, and we keep bringing up Katsumi's sister who's still asleep.
Yeah, that'll definitely be coming back.
So how important is she to this? Is she actually Lily? I feel like.
That could make a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But I think we learned a lot about this show.
It's all speculation, but we can move on to Saturdays.
All right. And so for the last show of the week, we've got Action Heroine Cheer Fruits. Let's end on a happy note. This episode 5 is Project Blue. So yeah, this time after the OP, the show opens with like a short, like little disclaimer from like an announcer saying like the cheer fruits are from Hanano, Japan. It's like blah blah blah. It was kind of cute. It was like one of these live action shows would have that like little announcer part. So anyway, the girls are like sincerely asking Yuki, the former pop singer, to join their group, but she has like this paranoia that because she's got like basically this trauma from like her pop idol training, and like so she like hides like her head in like a cat-eared hoodie. Which
can I stop you here?
Yes.
I'm not saying this is bad, it's just an observation, but like I'm sitting here and I'm like, how many moe girls can we cram into this show? Saying I've never seen any idol show. This is like my first slash.
I was gonna say, like, I saw that comment written and I was like, Leo, you are aware this is an idol girl show.
Yeah, I've never seen an idol show, so like this is my first idol show, so my first thought is just like, how many moe people can we get here? And my second thought is, I want a cat hoodie to run in.
Yeah, the cat hoodie is damn cute.
Bcom, buy me one.
I don't know if I can afford a cat hoodie. I might have to just get you I don't know, like a maid outfit. That'll be fine. Maybe with some like...
I don't want to run in a maid outfit.
I'll get you the cat ear headband to go with it, though.
Nah, pass.
So, Yuki's sister is like... To snap her out of her like paranoia, she has this like random extendable boxing glove that she can like use to punch people with. So she just randomly takes that out and like punches her sister in the stomach, and she snaps out of it. Still Yuki like refuses their offer at first, and she goes for a run around the town in her cat hoodie. And the locals are actually being like really nice to her. They're like, "Hey, Yuki, how you're doing?" and stuff. And like, but she sees like a poster of her like self as an idol, and she gets like really embarrassed. And like, she has this like paranoia disorder that like makes her view like everything they're saying in this like evil light. And she thinks that
Negative.
they're being like mean and resentful to her when they're really not. But we move on from that, and then there's like a little filler scene where An is opening like these boxes of like Kami Dio. I think they're sausages, and she finds a super rare Kami Dio card in the box, and she's like super happy. But like, not to be outdone, her rival Muramura buys like 100 of these boxes and just tears open all of them.
I just want to say this is microtransactions personified, because she gets nothing but absolute shit from them.
Yeah, these drop rates are
great.
fucking terrible for super rare cards. She doesn't get a single one, even though she bought like 100 of these things. And they're like, well, it serves you right for paying for the microtransactions. So anyway, Genki is kind of like really harsh on her sister when she's not there, and she tells the group that like, hey, if she's not going to be useful to us, then there's no point in us like wasting time on her. But An proposes that like, well, at times like this, we need like special hero training. And they're like, okay, yeah, you and Muramura can like take some singing training because your voices are terrible. And so back at home, Genki goes to her sister and like leaves a little like parfait thing inside her door, and then like sits outside the bedroom door, and they have like a conversation. And she's basically like, remember when you brought me this while I was in the hospital, like this delicious parfait thing? And
before you move on,
yeah,
what's interesting about this parfait, it's very, very fruity. There's lots of fruits in there.
Yeah.
And actually, going on a tangent, in old days, when I mean like old days, I mean like way, way back, fruit was initially a dessert.
Yeah.
So it's really weird. So to me, it was really, it really stood out to me as this little parfait as being, you know, like a little dollop of whipped cream and a bunch of fruit as a dessert.
Yeah, it is a dessert. Definitely.
So it was it just, I don't know. It was just interesting to me because I hate fruit, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If you see like in the cafes in Japan, they have parfaits like this. Like they have like, you know, like typical chocolate sundaes too, but they definitely have these like lighter fruit parfaits as like little treats and stuff all over the place.
Mm.
So yeah, so this hospital scene must have taken place when Genki became paralyzed, because there's actually a short scene in the beginning of this episode where there's a flashback to where Genki and Yuki are kids, and they're both walking around and like doing dance practice together. So Genki was not always in the wheelchair. She wasn't like born in a wheelchair. Something happened that put her in a wheelchair, which we don't know about yet still.
Well, when she delivered the parfait, you also see the scene where she went up the stairs with a cane. Like she can walk, it's just difficult.
Yeah, she can walk, just like she has some kind of debilitating issue with her legs or something. Yeah. So she says like she knows that like Yuki is still like carrying on with her same like idol like workout routine and everything that she was doing in Tokyo, and she's saying like you should just like join the group or something, or like do something with us. Don't like you still want to be an idol? Do you regret like quitting? And Yuki won't really say anything, and Genki guesses correctly that like, did the idol producers ask you to like talk about me on like a talk show or something? And there's a flashback, and like the shitty idol producer tells Yuki like, you didn't talk about your paralyzed sister like we told you to on the talk show today, and that was your last straw because that was the only way that viewers would identify with you. So like Yuki got really upset about this, obviously, and quit. So anyway, Genki's like, well, why don't you just like maybe guide the group as a coach for like a little bit? Like, since we're all amateurs, maybe you could just help us, like give us some advice. So the next day at practice, she does show up, and like she starts giving them like some dancing tips, and she tells them like, hey, your choreography is like way too complicated. Not only because like you're not like advanced dancers, but because like simpler dance moves are catchier and more likely to be like enjoyed and like shared on social media so people can do them. So it actually like works out in a lot of ways. And she also suggests that they should use their own original song instead of the cover of another song if they can. And luckily, Genki still has this song on her laptop that she and Yuki wrote when they were younger together. So when she hears that, like one of the girls is like, well, we're going to have to do like all new choreography though. And Yuki's like, she takes her cat-eared hoodie off, throws it on the ground, and stomps on it. No, I'm just joking. She says that, like, okay, fine, I'll do all the choreography. Let me do it. And so she joins the group as a full member, basically. And in their next performance, her name is Sign Blue. She's the fourth Cheer Fruits warrior, like the blue one. And her character is canonically from Mexico and wears a sombrero. I was like, okay, that's an interesting idea for a character. And then, so yeah, we see their performance, and it is very barely animated, which was disappointing. There was a lot of just still shots of the girls on stage, and like a couple shots of them up close moving, but very few.
Yeah, this was one of my notes. I was like, I guess it's too much to animate their performances now, since they're not doing like what would be considered legit performances in that world.
Yeah, like if you compared this to something like Idolmaster and their performances, this was like really bad. Even like Love Live, it's like this does not look good compared to those.
Yeah, it's just them in like different poses, just like a still frame, just holding it, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah. So we hear their performance, and by the way, the pink-haired girl is in the crowd again as their biggest fan. cheering them on. And then like at the end,
orgasming all over the place.
well, yeah, because at the end of the episode, we see her, like after the credits, I think, she's looking at a picture of Misaki on her phone that she took at the concert. And she says, "My sunshine, please let me be of service to you too." So she clearly has a crush on Misaki. And I think she's obviously clearly hoping to join the group next time as well. And the preview for the next episode kind of confirms that. And I have to say, I'm worried about this character. I think she's going to be super annoying, but I hope she's better than she looks.
You think she's going to be a Beatrice from Princess Principal?
She's got that high voice, and she looks like she's there for like Yuri shipping fan service as well. Ooh. So I hope it doesn't turn out to be terrible. But I will say this show like puts a smile on my face. Like I just feel happy after watching it. So it's doing okay so far. A couple problems with it. Yeah.
I enjoy watching it.
All right. Is that it for this week?
Yes, that's it for this week. So everybody, thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. See everybody later.
And maybe next week we'll watch the right episodes.
Yeah.
Peace.